Mrs. Yomi Fabiyi, because I'm going to call him a Mrs. because it talks too much. Doesn't have a break, doesn't have a zip to zip his mouth. There's a Mrs. Respect to all. I appreciate everybody. And for those of you that can recording, I also appreciate you too. Let me quickly go ahead and say this. Lady Naimoli made some valid points that up till now, you see, it is not that we just want to stay alone on our own. You understand? Sometimes it's not that we don't want to associate with some people, but we give glory to God because He gives us the grace to see beyond the current. I remember the first time Mrs. K came out, we said what the agenda was after Mrs. K is going to be Mohbad, is going to be Blessing, and if it works out, it's going to be Adura, and if it works out, it's going to be the Black Widow. That was it. Now, not long after Mrs. K, after they gave her a little ground, the next agenda was to propose Mohbad and say Mohbad and Baba should come together. You understand? After that did not work, very well as expected, then there was a proposal of Blessing. I remember on Onorebi's platform where Mrs. K was trying to say Blessing need the help, Blessing need the woo. I remember very well. And they said no. They were against it. Now it's an agenda that has already, but because the people stood against, because people like you and I stood against some of those things, because we saw ahead. You understand? That's the reason why they cannot, she cannot be cool with us. That's the reason why she cannot have a good mind towards us, because every of their agenda, every of our moves is already known to us. We already know. Now, Molly made some valid points when it comes to Mrs. K, but let me quickly talk about this so-called individual that calls himself Yomi Fabiyi. That stupid guy. I'm gonna be coming. Is it me? You might hear some things from me this morning that you've never heard from me before. Because I said on Lady T00 platform yesterday, every of his conclusion is always targeted towards the legal team. And Naimoli said something. Naimoli said, you went for an approval and it was denied. And you still allow the people to go to that place while you have already taking off. Who on God's own earth with a good mind will do that? Now, if something happens and they got those people who went to that place, they got them arrested, who is going to be held responsible? Is he going to be the so-called Mrs. Yomi Fabiyi? Because I'm going to call him a Mrs. because it talks too much. Doesn't have a break, doesn't have a zip to zip his mouth. There's a Mrs. Respect to all the women here, but pardon me, let me call her a Mrs. Who, if something had happened that day, probably those that went to that place, they got them arrested. Who will be held responsible? No other person than Baba Mohbad, who will have the second show of the Abuja saga, not knowing that you have already been told not to go ahead. And every time, each and every point in time when you talk, you are always after the legal team. Yomi Fabiyi, Nollywood. Go back to your Nollywood. We don't want you. We've been running this thing before you came like 3 months ago. This thing has been going on without you. You are not the first runner or whatever it is that you call yourself. You are not What should people like Grexy, what should they say? What should people like Veron, what should they say? What should they say? People whose children have been caused injustice for Mohbad, what should they say? Olofojufono. Who the hell are you? The money you made in justice for Mohbad, did you share it with anybody? Did you share it with anybody? The money you made, did you share it with anybody? Or because you want to put yourself at the forefront so that people will be seeing you? Okay, those that have been doing it for the past months before you came. So those ones who are Fojufono, those that have been petitioned before you came. Because I understood you said, you wrote the letter to the governor, and maybe you called the governor and something, and when they have done what you told them to do, you kept quiet. So if everyone was like you when you kept quiet, just like I said yesterday, if we were like you, when you kept quiet, and we all keep quiet, will you come back to meet anything now called the justice for Mohbad? The other time he said he sent some evidences to the legal team. He only sent some of his pictures to legal team. His personal pictures where he was being given ambassadorship or something. That was the picture that he sent to the legal team. That was the picture that he sent to the legal team. Now, it should show to you what Yomi Fabiyi is with the words that he has been using, his choice of words that he has been using. When he came, this Mrs. Yomi Fabiyi, when he came, he thought he was not going to meet people on ground who are strong. He thought he was going to come and dominate so as to use against the likes of Iyabo Ojo and some of his some of his colleagues in the Nollywood. He thought he was not going to meet strong people in the movement. That's the reason why you will see him attacking people like Grexy. That's the reason why there are some platforms he cannot go there because he can't stand their level of reasoning. He came with an agenda of killer fronts here. That was the reason why he came. That was the point. And that's the reason why when you look at his choice of words, it's always to dominate, it's always to put him at the forefront. I am the front runner, I am the front runner, I am the front runner, I am the Mulofujufino. I put my life at risk, I put my life at risk, I put my life at risk. The same person that said he put his life on the line is the same person that ran away.
They're running.
That said he put his life on the line is the same person that ran away when he has not even encountered any. He has not even encountered 20% of some of the challenges that every one of us we have encountered in this justice for Mohbad. Encountered 20% of some of the things in that justice for Mohbad they hurt. When justice for Mohbad they hurt. When you have to be walking on your street with face cap on. When Corona inquest used to be hot. When everywhere you go talk is always fire for fire. People did not as this thing. You are saying you are this thing. You came for your own personal interest. You wanted to fight Iyabo Ojo. You actually thought when you come, you are going to be the front. You are going to be the number one. You thought you are a voice, and you actually thought, you are a Nollywood actor. I'm a star. I'm an ambassador. Okay, wait. If not because you are seeking position, Why do you have to send your ambassadorship pictures, which is actually which should be on the internet? Why are you sending it to the legal team as evidence? Evidence for what? Evidence to show that leave this thing to me, make I run them in my own way. It's a freedom of choice. It's a freedom of movement. You understand? Every one of us, we have our own choice. You can make the freedom. There is freedom of whatever. It's not for us. This person has his own personal vendetta. This person has his own personal agenda. That's number one. Number two.